one of the many things that comes to mind with Ben Franklin is incredible time management.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something you could say about Ben Franklin and about Steve Jobs? I think interesting with Elon is that he, as you write, runs 6 companies.
Mm-hmm.
7, I mean, it depends how you count.
Yeah.
Starlink is its own thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What can you say about these people in terms of time management?
Well, Musk is in a league of his own in the way he does it. First of all, Steve Jobs had to run Pixar and Apple for a while. But Musk, every couple of hours, is switching his mindset from how to implant the Neuralink chip and what will the robot that implants it in the brain look like and how fast can we make it move, and then the heat shield on the Raptor, or switching to human imitation, machine learning, full self-drive. On the night that the Twitter board agreed to the deal, this is huge around the world. I'm sure you remember, like Musk buys Twitter. It wasn't when the deal closed. It was when the Twitter accepted his offer. And I thought, okay. But then he went to Boca Chica, to South Texas, and spent time fixating on, if I remember correctly, a valve in the Raptor engine that had a methane leak issue. And what were the possible ways to fix it? And all the engineers in that room, I assume, are thinking about, this guy just bought Twitter. Should we say something?
Yeah.
And he's like, and then he goes with Kimball to a roadside joint in Brownsville and just sits in the front and listens to music with nobody noticing really him being there. Mm-hmm. One of the things that's one of his strengths and sort of weaknesses in a way is in a given day, he'll focus serially, sequentially on many different things. He will worry about uploading video onto X.com or the payment system, and then immediately switch over to some issue with the FAA giving a permit for Starship, or with how to deal with Starlink and the CIA. And when he's focused on any of these things, you cannot distract him. And it's not like he's also thinking about, I'm dealing with Starlink, but I've got to also worry about the Tesla decision on the new $25,000 car. Now, he'll, in between these sessions, process information, then let off steam. And for better or worse, he lets off steam by either playing a friend in Polytopia or fire off some tweets, which is often not a healthy thing. But it's a release for him. And he doesn't, I once said he was a great multitasker, and that was a mistake. People corrected me. He's a serial tasker, which means focuses intensely on a task for an hour. Almost has a, what do they call it at restaurants where they give you a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
He does some palate cleanser with Polytopia,
Yeah.
and then focuses on the next task.
I mean, is there some wisdom about time management that you can draw from that?
There's some things that these people do, and you say, okay, I can be that way. I can be more curious. I can question every rule and regulation. I just don't think anybody should try to emulate Musk's time management style, because it takes a certain set of teams who know how to deal with everything else other than the thing he's focusing on, and a certain mind that can shift, just like his moods can shift. You and I go through transitions, and also if I'm thinking about what I'm going to say on this podcast, I'm also thinking about the email my daughter just sent about a house that she's looking, and I'm multitasking. He doesn't actually do that. He single tasks sequentially with a focus that's hardcore.
I don't know. I think there's wisdom to draw from that. To like, first of all, Ben Franklin makes me feel that way. That there's a lot of hours in the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of minutes in the day. Like, there's no excuse not to get a lot done, and it requires just an extreme focus, focus, and like an urgency.
I think the fierce urgency that drives him is important. And it's sometimes ginned up. Like I say, the fierce urgency of getting to Mars.
Mhm.
And on a Friday night at the launch pad in Boca Chica at 10 p.m., there are only a few people working because it's a Friday night. They're not supposed to launch for another 8 months. And he orders a surge. He says, I want 200 people here by tomorrow
Yeah.
working on this pad. We have to have a fierce sense of urgency or we will never get to Mars.
That sense of urgency, is also a vibrancy that's like really taking on life fully. I mean, that to me, this the lesson is like even the mundane can be full of this just richness, and like you just have to really take it in intensely. So like the switching enables that kind of intensity because most of us can't hold that intensity in any one task for a prolonged period of time. Maybe that's also a lesson.
Right. And I guess it goes back to also know who you are, meaning
Know who you are.
there are people who can focus intensely and there are people who can see patterns across many things. Look, Leonardo da Vinci, he was not all that focused. He was easily distracted. It's
Procrastinator.
why he has more unfinished paintings than finished paintings in his canon.
Yeah.
But his ability to see patterns across nature and to, in some ways, process, procrastinate, be distracted, that helped him some. But Musk is not that way. And there, every few months, there's a new surge. You don't know where it'll be, but you'll be on solar roofs, and all of a sudden we'll have a surge, and there has to be, 100 solar roofs built, or this has to be done by tomorrow, or make a Starship dome by dawn and surge and do it. And there are people who are built that way. It is inspiring, but also let's appreciate, that there are people who can be really good, but also can savor the success, savor the moment, savor the quiet sometimes. Musk's big failing is he can't savor the moment or success. And that's the flip side of hardcore intensity.